Hello students, welcome back. So today in continuation to S3 bucket, I will be demonstrating how we can mount S3 bucket to EC2 instance. So before we start doing the practical, I want to just take you through about a few of basic but very important information that you should know as administrator. So how to mount S3 bucket to EC2 instance, that is something now we are going to achieve in this short video tutorial. And there are many options that we have to mount S3 to EC2 instance. So like for example, we can use S3 console, we can use CLI, we can use AWS SDKs, or we can even use REST APIs, but they are different options not only for EC2 but like in general from application access or from other sources where you want to access your S3 bucket. So out of all these different options which are available for EC2 instance or for other options within the application, I'm going to demonstrate here about using S3FS to mount S3 bucket to your EC2 instance. And if we just take a look what S3FS is, it is a Fuse file system. So Fuse stands for file system in the upper space. This is an open source tool and that is also supported by AWS as of now, and it help you to mount S3 bucket to your local file system. And you can think of a kind of NFS kind of mount point where you are mounting a remote storage to your local system. So originally it is existing somewhere else. So same way, S3FS help you to attach the S3 bucket to your EC2 mount point, and then you can take copies or you can push copies, you can push backups, you can retrieve data from the S3 bucket directly within your EC2 instance. So this is what it does, and this is basically written using Python, and it is backed up by Amazon Simple Storage Service. So further now, before we start using S3FS, there are few steps that you have to follow, and what those steps are, like the requirements here are, or we can say requirements or prerequisites. So the prerequisites are, you need one IAM user, that is identity and access management, that I had demonstrated you in my starting chapters, that you have to create a user, you have to create groups, then you have to add user. If you remember and you have listened to my those chapter number 2 or 3 from the same series, then you have bit of idea about IAM. So the first requirement is we need to have IAM user. Then we should have one S3 bucket created. We need EC2 instance, of course, because we will be mounting it on EC2 instance. And then we need S3FS available on that EC2 instance. So we will install that. I'll demonstrate you how to install that. What are the Linux packages which are needed to install it on your EC2 instance. And disadvantage or drawback I will say about S3FS is that it maximum support for the file that you can store using S3FS is 64 GB. So if you need more than it, then there are other options like mount point or other options are there within Amazon that you can utilize. So I want to highlight few more points about S3 bucket. So like by default, all Amazon S3 resources like buckets, objects, sub resources, they all are by default private. So that means only you as administrator, you have created it, you have access to download or upload using the Amazon console. But when you want to access it through EC2 instance or through API gateway, then you have to create some policies, and those policies then enable you to share it across different resources within your application infrastructure. Further, if we discuss about IAM policies for S3 bucket, then these 4 points that I have highlighted here, these are also very important, and you should remember these points as AWS administrator. And also if you are preparing for your AWS certification, then also these points are important to remember. So like all AWS S3 sources like buckets, objects, sources, they are by default private. That is what I explained in my previous slide as well. Then S3 has resource-based policies and user-based policies. So basically these are two type of policies it has: resource-based and user-based. So access policies that you attach to your resources like for bucket and objects are called as the resource-based policies. For example, bucket policies and access point policies are resource-based policies. And access policies which are attached to the user. So let's say you have two users, and two users you are giving two different policies. So one is, let's say, is only read only, the other one can even write and delete also. So that means they are user specific policies and we call them user policies. So these are two set of policies with your S3 bucket in your IAM space. You can choose to use resource-based policies, user policies, or some combination of these to manage permissions to your S3 resources. And also, you can have ACL as another option to grant basic read and write permission to AWS account. But just remember that AWS do not recommend to use ACL unless this is really needed or very necessary. Rather, AWS recommend that you use the user-based policies to control the resource access. And all these policies are also well defined and given on IAM on AWS knowledge base articles also, and I recommend you to go through there. But I have just highlighted here just to save your time that these are the core 4 main type of points that you should remember when we are talking about IAM policies for S3 bucket. So this was just a little overview, a theoretical overview, which is also important to get started. And now we will start with the creating the S3FS. First, we will install this module S3FS Fuse file system on EC2 instance, and then we will mount the S3 bucket. So let's get started. So in order to mount S3 bucket to our EC2 instance using S3FS, we will be following these 4 steps broadly. So the first one is IAM user. We will assign a policy to our IAM user. Then we will create S3 bucket. Then we will install S3FS file system on EC3 instance. And then we will mount our bucket to EC2 instance. And then we'll try to just see some download and upload of the files. So the first step is IAM user. So what we need to do is we will go to user management under IAM section. Then we will look for S3 bucket under the permission tab, and then we will add Amazon S3 full access. So this is the first step we will do. Then next will be for the user, we will from the permission tab we will go to security credential, and then we will create access key, and then that access key will be used later to mount the S3 bucket. Then we will go to S3 bucket creation, and then EC2 instance. So these are the steps broadly that now I'll be demonstrating to all of you. So let's get started. The first one is going to our IAM user section and then setting up S3 bucket. So here is my console, and now what we will do, we will go to IAM identity and access management, and under this section we will go to users, and you see here I have created this one user. I will just click on this user, and here you see different tabs. So our interest is here for permissions and later security credentials. So first we'll go to permissions tab and we'll click here add permission, because you see here there are only 2 policies and we need S3 bucket policy. So I will just create here one permission. I go to add permission, then we will go to attach policy directly here, attach a managed policy directly to a user. As a best practice, we recommend attaching policy to a group instead. Yes, so that is always the best practice. Rather than user, you should always attach policy to group. Then you are managing and controlling multiple users. So for now, just for demonstration purpose here, I am attaching it directly to the user. And here we need S3 bucket policy. So I just type in here S3, and you see here Amazon S3 full access. We can even limit it to the limited set of privileges, but that part maybe we can cover during our typical IAM section, because IAM itself is a very broad topic. So we'll not go there at this moment. So for now, we'll just do Amazon S3 full access, and then you click next and then add permission. So now this permission is attached. So in IAM, first step is done. Second is now security credential. Go to security credentials, and then here I'll just scroll down a bit here to reach access keys, and we will create access keys. And now here it is asking what kind of access key you need. So we need here command line interface access key or local code, or the kind of key that you need, you have to create here. So here out of all these different options, like it is giving us options if we want to connect through CLI, local code, application running on an AWS compute service, third-party service application running outside AWS, and others. So out of these options at the moment, we want to attach to our EC2 instance, so we will go for this option. So I click here, and then this is the confirmation we have to agree upon, and then we click next. We can give tag here. I'm giving CS365 class demo, and then create access key. So now my access key and secret is created. Now another important step is to make a copy of it. If you lose or forget your secret access key, you cannot retrieve it. Instead, create a new access key and make the old key inactive. So remember this. So that is, you cannot retrieve it again. You have to keep it safe. Otherwise, you have to create a new key, which is also a good security practice. So now for our demo perspective, what I will do, I'll take a note of these two keys. So once you took a copy of your access key and secret key, you can click on done and continue without viewing or downloading. Yes, because I have copied, so I continue now because I have saved it. So IAM part is done now. So now as per the steps, next let's take a look at S3 bucket. Create a S3 bucket. So now we will create a S3 bucket. So I will go back to services and then I will look for, either we can search from here, or if you have added it as a preference, then you will also get it from your preference list. So now here we will go to create bucket. I have demonstrated it before, so I will be creating it in my preferred region. I will bucket name, I will call CS365 class demo bucket, and then copy settings from existing bucket. If we have, then we can copy. I have demonstrated it already in my second or third chapter, I think, in this series, so you can listen to that if you want. And I will go with the default list for now, and I have bucket versioning, I am disabling it for now. I have explained all these things, so for now I will just go ahead and create the bucket. So now we have a bucket created, because we will be attaching this bucket later to the EC2 instance. So that part is done. Now if we take a look at our checklist, next is EC2 instance, install S3FS file system. So now we will go to our S3 instance. So I will go to EC2 instances here, and so here why we do not see here anything is because instance state equal to running, there is a filter. So we will just clear this filter out, and then you will see here that there is one instance, but that is in stop state. So let's quickly start it so that we can connect to it. So I'm just starting it from here, instance state. This is also I have demonstrated already, so will not go there, but we will just quickly start it. Once it is up and running, then we can connect to it. So now I will go to my shell. Let me pull a new shell where we will make the connection. So here is my shell, and let me check. There should be a PAM key already here in the list. Okay, that should be in downloads. So I will just go to downloads, and then now if I do ls, this is the key that we created in my previous tutorial. So we will use this key now to log into the server. Now server is also started, and what we need to do is we have to copy this public IP address. I go here, I will use this new public address, and then since I had previous attempts, so it is asking for fingerprint, I am saying yes, and then I will use now the secret that I had created with passphrase, and now we are in. So you see here, now I am into the EC2 instance. So let's go and check our checklist, what it is saying. So bucket part is done. Now we are here, EC2 instance. We have to create S3FS. So the first part is we need all these packages. So let's take a look quickly if these packages are available. That is the first step. Before that, we cannot do this with restricted user. So I will switch to root. Okay. So now first we will check if these packages are available, and you see here available packages are here. So now next step is to install these packages. So what I will do is now I will just do, instead of yum list, I will do yum install. So yum is actually a package manager through which we can do the installation. So now I will do yum install, and it's DNF now in RHEL 8 onwards operating systems. So DNF is also supported, but like backward yum is also supported, and I will also show you that even. But let's install it quickly. Once all these packages are installed, then we will now start checking it, and then we'll progress further. So required packages are installed. Now we need to follow the steps as per the PPT I was showing here. We have just installed all these required packages, and next now we will follow these steps. So we have to now download and install S3FS Fuse software package. So I will just copy this, and I will go to my shell, and here now I will just paste this command, and let's fetch it. So it is now downloading it here. You see this is downloaded here. Now if I go back here, it is, so now the next step is we will go into it and then we will run this script. So let's do this. We go to S3FS Fuse and then I will just run this script. Once this is done, then the next step is to configure it. So basically we are compiling now this software. So these are compilation steps. So we are compiling our software, and that is the reason we needed all those libraries and those software that we installed as a first step here. So now we are under compilation process. Next is we will do make, and it will take a short moments to just compile it. So let it go on, and once this is done, then we will do make install. So sudo make install is if you are doing it with non-root user, otherwise you can do it with directly, we can do make install. Sudo is for non-root user. So I will just install it. Now it is installed, and let's validate with which S3FS. We see it is installed now. So our S3FS file system module is ready to use. So now the next step apart from this is using the access and secret key, if you remember. So now for that, what we need to do is we have to create one file, and within that file we will be adding those secret key and the access keys. So now I will go back here and let's create this file. I will open now it using VI editor, or you can use VIM also, up to you. And here what we have to do is we have to add those access key and secret key, and here what we have to do, we have to add it in a way, so your access key first, then colon, then your secret key. So now I will just take my copied credentials from the previous step. So first here is my access key, and then it is my secret key. So I go to insert mode and like this. So with this colon, now we are separating these two keys. So one is access key and then the secret key, and then we just save it. So now we have our access and secret keys already under this password S3FS file. And now next is to set the permission. So make sure that the permission on this file is restricted one. So I will make it ch mode 640. We call it etc password S3FS. So permission are set. So now next is to mount, and for mounting it, now what we will do, first we will create a directory here, and then we will just apply the mount command to our newly created S3 bucket. So for that, here now this is what we will do. We will create a directory, and I'm calling it, let's say, CS365 class demo bucket. So I will just copy it. So I'll pull my shell here, and let's create demo bucket. You see, if I now do here, I created it under root. So this directory is created now, and there is nothing inside this directory. Now what we will do, we will mount this directory to our S3 bucket, and for that we need to use this command. But you see here your bucket name. So this your bucket name is actually the bucket name. So let's take a look what is the bucket name from our S3 section. If I go here, and if we go to S3 bucket section, oh, this is session timed out. It happens. So if it is timed out, you have to log in again. So let's log in again quickly. So I will log in again, and here we go. Never, I do not prefer to save it in under my browser cookies. So this is the bucket name. Let's copy it, and then I will now just change the command, because the command we have to update the bucket name. So I'm just going to pull my this section here, and what we will do, we will use the bucket name here, and then the mount point. So for mount point, I will just pull it back. Let's take the name of mount point. This is the mount point name. Now I will just update this command. So this is done, and now we will just copy it. Now I will go to my shell, and here I will just apply the command. And now this is let's do this like this, and you see here with this command df-th, now I listed all the mounted volume, and you can see S3FS type is fuse S3FS, and it is mounted to this directory. Now if I just simply go here, at the moment there is nothing. So let's do some testing. Let me create a file here. touch cloud shiksha 365 dot text. So I created one file here. Now let's go back to the console, and here if we open this, you see here there is one file that appeared here because we created it from our EC2 instance, but we can view this from our this bucket console, S3 bucket console. You can even download it from here or from the CLI, so there are many options. So same way, let's say if you create any folder here, test, create folder, that folder is created here. Now if I go back, so let me go back now to my console, and if we do ls here, you see here test is created. So that was all. I think this was a brief demo here. I tried to cover the basics about S3 bucket. I also tried to cover a few IAM policies which are very important to know about S3, and then we created here S3FS Fuse file system and mounted our S3 bucket. I hope you enjoyed this short tutorial, and I do recommend you to listen to my previous chapters just to have a good understanding about the AWS administration basics. And now I will be showing you a few more options about the S3 bucket, and like how we can do maybe download and upload it with some different options. Like let's say we have wget option there and few other CLI options. So see you in next chapter. Thank you. So subscribe, like and hit bell icon to my channel. Thank you.